Okay, so in today's video, we are going to talk about one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. This would be the first ever Elimination Chamber match that took place at the 2002 Survivor Series. If you were to ask me what my all-time favorite pay-per-view was, this would definitely be probably the first thing out of my mouth. There's a couple other that ring off the top of my head, but Survivor Series 2002, beginning to end, is just absolutely incredible. Let's start with the fact that it took place in Madison Square Garden, and anytime a wrestling pay-per-view takes place in Madison Square Garden, you know the crowd is going to be absolutely electric. It automatically has a different feel from every other arena just because of the fact that the stage is just two doors that they enter from, and they just walk right down the alley. And like I said, today we're going to focus on the Elimination Chamber match, but I just want to touch on the fact that there was the table match that started off the beginning of the pay-per-view between Jeff Hardy and the Dudley Boys, well, Spike Dudley and Bubba Ray Dudley, and they faced a tag team 3-minute warning with Rico, which was a crazy, I don't know, if younger kids probably don't even know this tag team exists, but this was such a fun tag team to watch. They were freaking so big and powerful, and this guy Rico was just like, everyone hated Rico, but the match itself was awesome. It's always good to see a tables match with the Dudley Boys and Jeff Hardy. You know that Jeff Hardy is going to do crazy shit in this match. He's going to do a swanton off the top of the thing in the crowd. He's going to get put through a table. Spike Dudley's going to get put through a table. There's going to be crazy stuff happening the whole time. Then you also have the Big Show versus Brock Lesnar match, which was like, I'm going to make a whole video just on this match alone because it's so awesome. It's a really short match, but super exciting. It's the first time we ever see Big Show get lifted up like this for an F5 by Brock Lesnar. And then we also see Paul Heyman screw over his first ever client, Brock Lesnar, and help the Big Show go on to win the title with a chokeslam onto the chair. Just a crazy, crazy moment, just an iconic moment in wrestling history. And then right before the chamber match starts, you have one of the greatest debuts of all time. You have Scott Steiner's debut. In Madison Square Garden, the siren goes off. When it comes to debuts in wrestling, I mean, the Scott Steiner debut is definitely one of the best ever seen.
I think business just picked up a little bit here, King. It's Scott Steiner in Madison Square Garden at the Survivor Series. It's him, JR!
His career in the WWE wasn't really that exciting, but the first couple months he was there, and specifically this debut with that siren, and he walks out with the chains on his head. I mean, he was just freaking, it was so cool, man. This was the first Elimination Chamber match ever. It was one of the, I remember the build up to it, and you would see these promos for the chains and how tall it was and how big it was, and it's just it was crazy. Just the feeling you had going into it, going to watching it was like, what is this thing? It was so magical almost. And then during the pay-per-view, you see Eric Bischoff, before the match starts, he goes out to the ring and he has a metal pipe in his hand. And he's explaining the rules to everybody in the crowd. And as he's doing that, he's just hitting the cage. You can hear the metal off the ground. It was just so, you can feel how barbaric this structure was.
By pinfall, or if you can't stand the pain, and if you can't stand the punishment,
which is something I feel like it's really lacking in today's wrestling. I mean, the chamber match itself is it's completely different. The structure is not the same at all. This was really barbaric. Alright, so for the entrance, we have Chris Jericho coming out first. This is the first time he came out with his new entrance song with Saliva. Saliva is a band. By the way, what also makes this pay-per-view so good is the fact that this band Saliva had the theme song called Always. And if you have a chance, go watch the promo video for the Elimination Chamber match with Saliva singing Always. It's one of the best. It's up there with WrestleMania 17, Rock vs. Austin promo videos. It's one of my all-time favorites. So Jericho comes out with Saliva singing. They're in New York singing at the WWE in New York studio, which was so cool.
That brother be put in the chamber first, wouldn't you?
And then after that, you have Booker T, who comes out. Booker T is always someone who's like, you wanted to have in this match because he's like a big name and like he's a fan favorite, he's exciting, but you never ever expected Booker T to actually win one of these matches, which was always like it's kind of a weird thing to look back on. And then after him, you have Kane comes out, and this is the last Survivor Series that we see Kane with his mask on. Exactly a year from today, or from this pay-per-view, he faces Shane McMahon in that ambulance match in 2003 where he's just like a psychotic, maskless monster. But this Kane comes out. He comes out to Slow Chemical, which is still, probably my favorite entrance song of all time. I absolutely love every second of it. Who you love to have in the match because he was such a monster and destructive, and you love seeing choke slams, but you never really expected him to actually win this match, which is weird. And then after Kane, you have HBK, who is the prime focus of the match and of the pay-per-view. Shawn Michaels returned earlier in the year. He was off for I think since 1997, 98, something like that. He was off for 5-6 years with a back injury, and he came back earlier in the year, just a couple of months before the Survivor Series pay-per-view at SummerSlam. And he faced Triple H in a street fight match, and it was like this crazy thing. I think Triple H put him in a wheelchair or something. But he is the fan favorite to win this match. He is the primary focus of this match, and his rivalry with Triple H is like the main focus of this whole match. And an interesting thing that I learned rewatching this was that this was the first Survivor Series for Shawn Michaels since the Montreal Screwjob in 1997. So the last time we saw Shawn Michaels at a Survivor Series was when he was screwing Bret Hart over in frickin' Montreal, one of the most iconic or infamous moments in wrestling history. And then finally, you have the last two people to enter. These are going to be the people that actually start off the match. And the first person is RVD, an absolute fan favorite always. I don't think Rob Van Dam was ever not a fan favorite in his career, honestly. But he comes to the ring. He does his classic Rob Van Dam sign. People go crazy. And he enters. He's going to be one of the people to start it off.
Between Van Dam and Triple H's world title.
He's going against Triple H, who comes out with Ric Flair at the time. This is the early stages of Evolution, man, when it was just Triple H and Ric Flair. A beardless Triple H. This is when Triple H, I love this version of Triple H. He comes out with the World Heavyweight title, and when I think of the World Heavyweight Championship, I always think of Triple H. He is the one that carried it the longest, I feel. I also think of Batista when he was on SmackDown, like 2005 era. And I know Goldberg had it for a little bit, but the person I think of most when I think of that title is always Triple H. And he ends up doing his classic water spit flex right in the entrance of the chamber. Absolutely love this scene right here. He is the fucking man. I love Triple H.
I think this Elimination Chamber takes all of that advantage. I don't see how Ric Flair could be any factor whatsoever in this match.
I don't think Ric Flair.
All right, so the match starts off with Rob Van Dam and Triple H. This is where we are going to get our first encounter with the chamber itself as Triple H gets thrown over the top ropes and you hear him slam into the steel on the outside. And surprisingly, Triple H was always great at this. He was great at getting his butt kicked. And Rob Van Dam beats the hell out of Triple H in the beginning of this match, and something I really wouldn't expect. You would expect Triple H really to be the one beating up Rob Van Dam, but in the first 3 or 4 minutes of this match, Triple H has been thrown into the steel cage a couple of times. He's already bloody. You can see the blood coming down from his face, and it's just a couple minutes into the match. And Rob Van Dam is kicking his butt. He does a monkey flip onto Triple H, just again exposing that spine onto the steel. Everyone hears it. You can hear the steel underneath their foot when they're just walking around. It's really intense. And then Rob Van Dam does the Rolling Thunder, his favorite move, over the top ropes and onto the frickin' steel, onto Triple H. Triple H sells it unbelievably well.
How do you learn on borrowed steel? Oh, damn. Rolling Thunder from the ring over the top to the torso of the champion who was lying bloody.
These two are continuing to, fight. Rob Van Dam is really in the lead here, and he's going for something on top of the chamber, and as he gets up there, he flips off Chris Jericho, who was in the chamber pod. Not a smart idea, because as he is on top of the chamber pod, Jericho freaking pulls his leg through the cage there and leaves him completely vulnerable. But he ends up kicking Jericho to the floor in the chamber pod, fighting his way back, and then this is kind of where it ends before the first entry starts, but But as we get into this first entry, the main thing to take away here is that Triple H has just gotten beaten up bad in the first couple minutes of this match, and it is not looking good for him to actually walk away with his title here. So we have the first entry into the Elimination Chamber here. The chamber pods light up, and they're going sporadically around. You have no idea who's going to be next, and then finally it lands on the pod that is open, so it's like a really exciting moment. And of course, Y2J is the one that comes out, so now there are two heels in the ring against RVD, who's kind of the babyface in this situation. So now that there's three guys in the ring for this match, there's a couple things that go on. They're really going to team up on Rob Van Dam here and try to take him out of this match. At one point, Jericho holds RVD by the back of his arms, and Triple H is beating him up in the ring. They do a crazy slingshot off the ropes into the cage against RVD. I mean, they're just beating the absolute hell out of him here. I mean, they do it one time. He goes into the ring, and then Triple H and Chris Jericho talk to each other, and they're like, oh, we're gonna do this 4 more times. So they bring him out onto the freaking steel, and they just start throwing him back and forth off the ropes into the cage, off the ropes into the cage, and then on the last one, you can hear his spine just bang off the middle of the actual the pipe of the cage. It was it probably hurt so much.
The thing was all worth it. Look at this. Van Dam being double teamed, Jericho and Triple H working like a tag team, and they despise each other.
So the whole time that Jericho's here, RVD is really, they just beat up RVD for basically the whole time. He does have one really cool spot in the match while there's 3 of them, and that is when he jumps over, I think Chris Jericho lands on the fence and then does a moonsault off the fence onto Jericho. It was a really cool spot. I think King called it Jerry the King Lawler called it a tornado moonsault or something like that. So that was RVD's biggest spot there, but basically Y2J and Triple H just beat the hell out of him the whole time they're in the ring. All right, so the pod lights are off, and we got Booker T coming out into the ring. He's got full of energy here. He beats up Triple H, beats up Chris Jericho, and then we immediately, right into the first 10 seconds he's in the ring, we get our Spinneroonie. Absolute classic move. This is why you have Booker T in the match. You don't expect him to win, but he's going to be freaking exciting. After the Spinneroonie, we do actually get to see Booker T hit a scissors kick on Triple H, which was interrupted by Y2J right after. And while we have these 4 guys in the match, we actually get the spot of the match, and this is when RVD, Triple H, I think, just got the scissor kick, and RVD climbs up to the turnbuckle to do his frog splash, and he looks around, hops on top of the chamber pod, and decides to do his frog splash from there. But the only problem is he comes down very unlike himself. He lands on his feet almost first, and he just knees Triple H right in the frickin' throat. And this is a very well-known spot, and this is the most known spot in this match. And Triple H, I think he damaged his throat in some way. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he definitely got injured here on this. And I'm kind of surprised, RVD, I expect him to kind of just jump off, but it was at a weird angle, and he's kind of crouched up there because the top of the cage is right there on the pod, and he doesn't land on his stomach. He lands feet first and just absolutely just kills Triple H here. I felt terrible for him. And I don't know if RVD actually injured his knee here. The commentators were saying he did, and then he gets eliminated by Booker T off a very standard drop kick, so maybe I don't know if that's how he was supposed to get eliminated. Maybe he actually injured his knee and they just called the quick audible, but I don't know. It happened so fast that I don't think they would have been able to relay the audible to Booker T in time to tell him to do the drop kick. I don't know what happened, but it was a very weird thing here. All right, we are down to our 3rd entry. There's only 2 people left, Shawn Michaels and Kane. The lights go off, and we get frickin' Kane. The Big Red Machine comes out. And like you expect him to do, he just beats the absolute hell out of everybody. Immediately takes Y2J and just slams him right into the cage. And then, one of the best spots of the match, he throws him through the chamber pod, right through the plexiglass, and everyone goes freaking crazy here.
Chamber. And what do you think about that? Whoa! God almighty. And it may be bulletproof. but the force of
Not something that anyone was suspecting. The fans are really weird in this match because everything's so new. And so it's not like a lot of excitement, but there's when these big spots happen, everyone goes crazy. You're like, whoa, you're like in astonishment almost. But Kane goes back into the ring. He choke slams Booker T, and then Y2J somehow got up from being thrown into the chamber pod, does his lion salt, and eliminates Booker T from the match there. And at this point, we got Triple H bloody, and Y2J is also bloody now, and he tries to climb away from Kane. You see him like scaling to the top of the cage, and Kane is like grabbing him. He's punching him a little bit, and then he just picks him up like off the side of the cage and just throws him right into the ring. Fans are starting to sense that it's been a couple minutes now, so the final entry, which is Shawn Michaels, should be coming around. So they start chanting for HBK and start to get really excited.
that missile drop kick knocking down Kane.
Oh, listen to these fans. We are about 7 seconds away from the arrival of HBK in this Elimination Chamber match, JR.
The chamber pod opens. Shawn Michaels comes in. He's got a ton of energy. Obviously, he's been sitting there for like half an hour now watching everyone wrestle. He goes after Kane, Y2J. I expected a little bit more out of him, but he immediately gets, hit by Kane, thrown upside down into the turnbuckle, and then plus a choke slam, which is, and I thought we'd see at least a super kick right off the bat. But Kane goes absolutely crazy. He choke slams Triple H. Y2J gets choke slam. He gives a signal for the tombstone to do on Triple H. And as he's setting up the tombstone, Triple H goes off his back and pushes him right into a super kick out of nowhere. This sets up Triple H to hit the pedigree, and then Y2J hits his lion salt. Whenever these big guys, Kane, Big Show, Undertaker, whenever they get eliminated from a match, it takes like 4 or 5 finishing moves to actually get them eliminated. So we got 3 guys eliminated, RVD, Booker T, and now Kane. So it really just leaves Y2J and Triple H against Shawn Michaels. 2 heels against the babyface of the match. The goal here is to beat the absolute hell out of him. They're going to grind his face against a cage. They're going to bust him up. Do anything that they can to make sure that Shawn Michaels does not walk out of here as the champion. And what I love about this match is that, they sold the match. The promo was all about how barbaric it was. And the good thing about wrestling back in the early days, the Ruthless Aggression era days, is the fact that when they promoted something to be barbaric, it truly was barbaric. I mean, every single one of these guys, these last 3 guys, are bleeding. You can hear the steel on when the bodies hit the cage. Like, you can really feel that these guys are putting themselves through something that is actually like torturous. So they're beating up Shawn Michaels. He eventually hits his comeback move, the punch to the face, and then he gets up with that I don't even know what that's called, that jump from the floor. I don't know what move that's called, but he immediately gets hit into a bulldog by Y2J, and then the lion salt. It's a close count to 3. He kicks out of it. He fights back, and eventually gets Chris Jericho into the walls of Jericho here, but is interrupted by Triple H. And as Shawn Michaels is on the ground, you see Triple H and Y2J, this team that has been formed since the very early of this match. They have finally now turned on each other because the end is near, baby, and they want to be champion. So Triple H tries to hit Y2J with the pedigree, but he counters it to the walls of Jericho. It's a close call for Triple H. He's bleeding. He's crawling to the ropes. And as he gets pulled back, he gets super kicked, Y2J, right in the face for a 1, 2, 3. The crowd goes crazy, and it's just Triple H and Shawn Michaels left in the chamber.
Michaels eliminates Jericho. Wait a minute, and we're down to 2.
Do you believe, JR? Do you believe in that man?
So this match is far from over. We got the 2 people that we want to see in the match. This is what the whole storyline for months now has been about, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. So finally they're locked in the Elimination Chamber together. Only one man can come out of this alive. Only one man can come out as a champion. So they fight back and forth for a little bit here. Triple H is getting the better of him. There's a spot here where the pedigree from Shawn Michaels on the steel cage is reversed into a catapult through the glass door, the same glass door that Chris Jericho went through earlier in the match. And they eventually get back into the ring. And one of my favorite spots that they used to do all the time back in the day is when they get into these punching battles in the ring. The Rock used to do it, Triple H, Stone Cold. frickin' Jericho and HBK. I love these spots. And this leads to that knee slam by Triple H, which I love Triple H when he hits that move. It's one of my favorite moves he does. The knee to the face, or when he bangs someone's face off of his knee. I love those two moves there, which sets him up for a pedigree on Shawn Michaels. And then Shawn Michaels now is the one that actually reverses Triple H into the catapult. And there's a spot where Triple H is in the ring, and Shawn Michaels climbs up not only to the turnbuckle, but he climbs up to the top of the chamber, which is actually something I do not remember this happening at all. And he hits an elbow drop, a perfect elbow drop from the top of the chamber pod onto Triple H. He sets up the Sweet Chin Music. He's getting the band going. The fans are going crazy. Finally, he's going to win the championship. He gets the Sweet Chin Music, but it is reversed into the pedigree. The crowd is going absolutely crazy. It's a huge shock. It's a 1, 2, kick out from Shawn Michaels.
Done. There it is. The arm over. Is this how it's going to be? No, it's not how it's going to end. It's not going to end.
They eventually get up, and he goes for another pedigree. It's reversed. He gets into the corner for the Sweet Chin Music. He hits the Sweet Chin Music. The place is going absolutely crazy at this point in Madison Square Garden. He gets the win, 1, 2, 3. Shawn Michaels is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion for the first time in like 6 years. He's finally the champion again. There's confetti all over the place. The fans are going absolutely nuts. Jim Ross is going nuts on the microphone, as always, when Shawn Michaels wins a championship.
Do you believe in miracles? Shawn Michaels believed in himself. Michaels believed in his ability to win this match, and he has survived it.
And it's really just like an amazing scene. A very iconic moment, a very iconic pay-per-view. I honestly wish I could go back to this time period and just relive it again. It's really, if you weren't alive for this, it's really hard to explain just the feeling and the atmosphere of the pay-per-view, of the chamber. The build-up was beautiful, and the fact that Shawn Michaels was able to win in this way was incredible. Just the people that were in the match. I mean, look at the people that were in this match. You got Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kane, Booker T, Chris Jericho. I mean, it was freaking star-studded Hall of Famers all around. I mean, just an absolutely unbelievable time period for wrestling. I miss it so much. I wish I can go back there. But thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also comment your favorite match, and I will get around to as many matches as I can. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.